morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome everybody to the Aspiring Authors Lab Morning Show. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm Gertrude J. Chapman, your number one inspirational book coach, and I have taught hundreds of women how to write their books and be successful and generate that revenue that they always desire. And this is something that I could teach you also. So I hope you had a fantastic weekend. We're going to be continuing, talking about our theme for this month. And it's called Building Self-Confidence for Authors. Building your self-confidence. What does it take to build your self-confidence as an author? So don't forget to share this broadcast out with someone. Thank you for joining me today. The topic today will be writing a book and the tips that I'm going to give you about writing a book. And the specific thing that we're going to be talking about today is writing about problems. Writing about those things, those challenges that you have gone through. What can you do with those things? And how can that generate revenue for you as you write your book? Now, on a previous broadcast, I mentioned to you how to win your audience through connecting them with your story. Thank you for joining me today. And let me tell you, your story is all that you have. Your story is valuable no matter what. Someone needs to read your message because you know what? They may be going through a similar situation and they need that inspiration of hope. They need that inspiration. So don't ever, shy back from telling your story, your uniqueness, and, how you process something and all of your experiences that, the things that you had to deal with, going through. No one could ever take that away from you. So let me ask you this. What is the story that you are willing to tell? What is that story that you could share with someone that will inspire them to say, hey, I'm not the only one facing this challenge. Maybe I could hold on and continue through. Something to give somebody hope. Something to, give them that glimmer of light to see that there's hope at the end of the tunnel, that it's not always going to be a certain way. This too shall pass. So what is that story that you are willing to tell? What can you share with someone in your book that will get them out of what they're going through and so they could have victory? So they could have victory that they so desire. I was speaking with a young lady this past week, and I'm going to tell you, she has a boatload of problems, right now problems, serious issues that she's dealing with. And, during our conversation, I told her how to take a journal and jot those things down. Because I'm going to tell you, in the future, she could use those things to write a book. Don't ever, underestimate the treasures and the jewels that you have inside of you. And the reason why I say write it down right then is because we forget. Because we live busy lives and we forget. We tend to forget. But if you jot it down and, make some notes about it, you could go back and take those notes and write a book. And it's so easy, y'all. It's so easy. Now that was an aha moment for somebody. That's an aha moment. You probably never thought about that. Write your story. Because your story is your story. And someone needs to hear your story. But when you write your story, don't just focus on the pain. Thank you for joining me today. Make sure you write about your victories. Let people see that there's hope for them. Write about your victories where they see, well, if she went through that and she came out, this way, well, then I could do the same. Let someone see themselves on the other side of that situation. A lot of people are so focused, they're so concentrated on writing about their pain. And even when, we go through challenges and situations, sometimes we concentrate more on that pain that we fail to see that there's hope. And when you're writing, people, they made this write about the pain and they forget about mention the victories, or they just briefly mention the victories. But you can't write one without the other. Both elements are important. You have to have both. You have to have the pain and you have to have the victory because they go hand in hand. And I'm going to tell you, I know when you're going through something and you're trying to write it, that there'll be some hard spots and, it's difficult for you to write about certain things. I get it. Y'all, I get it. Okay? I get it. And all I have to say to you is, then maybe it's not the time to share that particular story. Not now. But in the future, you could share your story. I told you about in the early beginnings, of me writing and writing my books for, because before I used to write my books before just for fun. But when I got serious about it, how I wrote a story about emotional trauma as I, growing up, emotional trauma. And, nothing to do with my parents or anything of that nature, but, other people in the family. And it took me years to write that book. So, like I said, it doesn't, sometimes you can't write about it then. But there will be a time that you can share your story. So, again, what is that story that you are willing to write? What is that story? And when you write your story should never be choppy, but it should flow. Let it flow. Don't have it choppy. So, and if your story is choppy, what'll happen is you'll lose your audience's interest. But if it just flows, it will attract them and it will keep them, reading your story. And if you ever find yourself, struggling, then there are other things that you must do. There's other things that you must do. So, it's simple as that. As simple as that. You have to learn how to flow. And something else that I mentioned on a previous broadcast about being authentic. Thank you for joining me today as you write your story. It has to be your story. It has to be something that you experience and you have a badge to prove it. It can't be a story that, you witnessed somebody else experiencing or, what somebody else told you. You must own your story. You must own that story that you're writing. If you say it's yours, you got to own it. And all of these are tips to help you be that great author. It's the little things. Like you always hear me say, it's more to writing a book than just writing a bunch of words and putting them between two covers and calling it a book. Because that's where people miss it. They don't consider the small things or the little things, those little tips. And I'm going to tell you, everyone has a story to tell. So, what is that story that you are willing to write? What is that thing that you're willing to share? Because I'm going to tell you, there is more money in what you know than in what you do. And I'm going to let that sit there for a while. All you have to do is decide what type of story you will write. There are many other factors. But I'm going to tell you, this gives you something to think about. A successful person, no matter what industry they're in, prepares themselves. They set goals. They have plans. They don't just leap without focus. And the same is for writing. You can't just leap, okay? Writing your message, you have to understand this. Writing your message is a big deal. It's a big deal. Your story is a big deal. You are a big deal. So don't treat your story as mediocre. Always provide solutions to your problems and help your audience find hope in your message. That's very important, y'all. Very, very important. And I realized this, where a lot of new authors were missing out. So I know a lot of times, people get off track and, different things happen. So I have an excellent resource that can help you write your book with ease. And it contains all the necessary components to write your book. You got to stop allowing fear to hold you back, because there's greatness on the inside of you. There's that story on the inside of you. And I know that writing a book for the first time, it could be quite nerve-wracking. Thank you for joining me today. You could become easily distracted because you feel overwhelmed. So there's a step-by-step writing resource that could help you write your book. Even write your book in 30 days. It depends on you. Thank you for joining me today. And it's called Aspiring Writer. Learn how to write your first book. It's book, and it's a study guide also, and a workbook. And it will help you do just that. And it's available at bit.ly/book writing tips. Again, that's bit.ly/book writing tips. And like I say, it's a step-by-step guide that will help you write your book. And your book can be written in 30 days. That's just how easy it is to understand. But you don't have to, be guessing what should come next and what you should put in this book. So again, you could get that resource by going to bit.ly/book writing tips. And I want to thank you for taking time out to join me today on the Aspiring Authors Lab Morning Show. And I look forward to seeing you the next time. Don't forget to share this broadcast out with your friends. I'm Gertrude J. Chapman, your #1 inspirational book coach. And remember, this is your time, this is your season, this is your turning point. So have a great rest of the day.